Hey, good morning. Happy Wednesday. My name is Carrie Postall. I own Abacus Business Solutions. And today I wanted to talk to you about all those confusing tax forms and hiring team members, subcontractors and employees, and just trying to get your head around all of that. So wanted to run through that with you today because you want to make sure that you are compliant. You definitely do not want to get on the wrong side of the IRS when it comes to this. So many people get confused with this. So many people think that they can just choose, okay, I'm going to make this an employee and I'm going to make this person a subcontractor. If only it was that simple. It's not. You've got to follow the rules. There are guidelines set out. You can find them at the IRS website. Make sure that you are clear and you understand those, because it is absolutely critical when you're hiring that you hire that person in the right capacity, employee or subcontractor. But don't worry, we are going to run through those today, give you, an overview of what those are. But like I said, go to the IRS website, Google subcontractor 1099 versus W-2, and make sure you really understand the difference between the two and which one you should be using. So let's get started. So as a construction company, you are likely to hire a combination of employees and subcontractors. You may have some employees who are out there in the field, maybe running the jobs, doing the labor on the jobs, and then you might be hiring subcontractors for those areas of the project that you don't have a team that can do. So maybe you have concrete on a job and you don't have anybody in your team that is able to do the concrete, and so you then subcontract that out. So you're likely to have a combination when you're in construction, and that is totally normal. But you want to make sure you're getting the proper paperwork from people when they start working for you, whether as an employee or as a subcontractor. So we're going to talk today about the difference between the W-2 and the W-9 form, because people get confused between those, and make sure that you are classifying everyone correctly. So W-2 forms and are what an employee is going to get at the end of the year. That's what they need to be able to file their personal tax return. The 1099 form is used by a subcontractor to be able to submit with their tax form to show how much they have earned. So we're not deducting taxes from a 1099 employee. We are simply reporting on the 1099 the amount that they have been paid. So if you have an independent contractor, you determine that they are an independent contractor, they are a subcontractor, they're not an employee, then you need to make sure they fill out a W-9 form before they start working with you. If you get them to start working with you and you haven't got that W-9 form filled out, make sure you get that W-9 form completed before you pay them. I'm going to say that again, before you pay them, because if you don't, then there's a chance that when you ask for that W-9 later on in the year, they may refuse to give it to you. And then you're in a position where, hey, I have to give you a W-9 or a 1099, or maybe I don't have to give you a 1099. I'm not sure. And so you want to make sure that you're perfectly clear on getting that W-9 from people. And if they don't give you that W-9 form when you come to pay them, then you need to withhold a certain percentage for taxes as well. Again, make sure you look that all up on the IRS website about that. We're not going to go into that detail today because those numbers do change, but just make sure that before you pay anyone who is due a 1099, you get that W-9 form first. It's a great way to get people to get that paperwork to you, because they don't get paid without it. So the W-9 form is used by the business to get the name of the business and to get that taxpayer identification number, whether it's their individual social security number or whether it's their business EIN number. So you want to make sure that you get that information, and that form is also going to show you if they are even eligible for a 1099. So depending on the type of company they have set up, they may not need a 1099. But without that form, you're not going to know that. So make sure that you get that. So if you have employees, when they start working with you, you're going to have to get them to complete a W-4 form. That is where you're going to get all their information from them and how much they want to get deducted tax-wise. Now, unfortunately, that W form isn't quite as simple and straightforward as it used to be. We get a lot of questions from people like, how do I fill this out? I used to just put in like a number 2 for 2 deductions and it was straightforward. Unfortunately, it's not as straightforward. You need to read through the form, take the time to get familiar with it, and then make sure as well that you let your employees know that when they get their first couple of paychecks, make sure they see how much federal income tax is being deducted. Because sometimes, and we've heard stories in the past where employees are getting to the end of the year and freaking out because now they have a tax bill because of what they put on that W-4 form meant that they did not have any federal income tax being deducted throughout the year. So they were not happy that they suddenly had a tax bill. So that's why I always make sure that you tell your employees, look at your pay stub. Don't just look at the bottom that's going into the bank account. Yes, that's important, but make sure they understand that they need to check that there is federal income tax being deducted and if it's enough. And if they're not sure, then they need to talk to the person that does their personal taxes so they can get them to help to understand, okay, no, you need to change your deductions to this so that you're making sure you are paying in some federal income tax. So, excuse me. So on that W-2 form, at the end of the year, when your employee gets that, is going to show how much the employer has withheld for federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare. And so as the employer, you are required to submit all that information on your quarterly reports, the 941s, and then you're going to have likely state unemployment, and then you're going to have federal unemployment as well. So it's really important that you have got accurate, detailed records. So I do not suggest employers do payroll by hand, manually, try to calculate it, try to have some fancy spreadsheet. Even as accounting experts, we don't do manual payroll. We use a payroll company called Gusto. We have found that they are definitely one of the best out there. We've been using them for about 5 years now. We have about half our clients that are on Gusto, and everybody loves it. So if you would like an introduction to Gusto, let me know, and I can send you a link and show you how to get that set up as well. So it's really important to make sure you're keeping track of all the pay, but not just the weekly pay or biweekly pay or the hourly time or the salary. But if you're paying any bonuses, that has to go through payroll. Don't be giving out $500 in cash bonuses. Put it through payroll. They have to be taxed on that. The same as if you have anyone who is an employee who is a salesperson and they get commission, it has to go through payroll. Any form of compensation must go through payroll so it appears on their W-2 at the end of the year. So W-9s are needed when you hire a subcontractor so that you can give them a 1099 at the end of the year if they are eligible. W-2 forms are what you give to your employees at the end of the year that gives them the summary as to what has been withheld from their paycheck so that they can get their personal taxes done as well. It's really, really important, like I said, that you comply with the tax laws because you don't want to end up getting penalties and fines. You want to make sure that, if you've got someone that you're not sure whether they're a subcontractor or an employee, then talk to a professional. You look on the website, and if you're still not sure, find someone who does know what they're talking about and can help you understand that. Because if you're paying somebody as a subcontractor and they should actually be an employee, then you have the possibility of facing penalties and fines and interest payments and having to pay those taxes as well. So make sure you really, really understand exactly what your employee or subcontractor should be defined as. It's not your choice. The IRS has given you guidelines as to how to set that up. So I hope that made that a little bit clearer as to the difference between employees and subcontractors, making sure you've got the right forms and you're classifying people correctly. It's not your choice. The IRS is guiding you on that. So if you've got any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. So you can send us a message below in the comment section, or you can send us a direct message as well. We would love to chat with you and help you through this because it can get confusing and we totally get that. So, okay, make sure you are classifying everybody correctly. Maybe that's a task you need to just go and block out half an hour now and go through your subs and employees and make sure everybody is classified the right way. If not, then it's not too late to change it. Let's get it done. Thanks.